you fight for?
Keira Knightley. All of the action scenes, she did them all herself.
Sword fight, archery, axe fight, knife fight, a bit of garroting, which is particular fun, I have to say, and a lot of running about.
The most important thing for me in preparing for the film was horse riding. I'd done very little horse riding. Key thing was to feel comfortable and look like you know what you're doing on a horse.
The major thing with this is that it's all the actors doing all the riding.
Probably 75% of the film I'm on the horse. And I understand now why John Wayne walks like he did.
The horse is dictating the rhythm of the scene often, and it's very hard to be precise.
The difficulty really is knowing that you have to hit this certain mark and you're trying to act and remember your lines and look a certain way and try to look cool at the same time. Sorry, can we cut it? Your legs are going, like kicking the horse and trying to get into position.
What the horse does is what you're dealing with, as well as doing the dialogue. I resisted that. I was finishing up at Anton. I didn't do what I wanted to do in that scene. And he would say, no, just come and look, see the playback. And in the playback, it's part of the scene. What the horse is doing is key to what the scene is.
What are you fighting for?
I fight for a cause beyond Rome's or your understanding.
With the actors, this is the most amazing thing. I was asking the world of them. I was asking them to learn how to ride horses, how to fight on a horse, to know how to shoot a bow and arrow from a horse. I was asking them to learn how to fight with swords, to be able to go from beginning to the end of an entire fight and know every move. I was asking them to be in enough shape for me not to have to stop filming, and I was asking them to stay focused on their acting at the same time, and they did it.
We have some 400-odd extras that have never seen a shield or spear before. They will replicate a Saxon military unit.
7, 8, 9, 10. Stop!
All right, look to the right and line up on your flag, gentlemen.
It's an extensive period of basic drilling. Basically, I've just taken a military formation and put it in a working system for these civilians. We've done some very careful research on Saxon battle tactics, and we try to replicate as closely as we possibly can.
You guys over there, move on!
They're working with shields, they're working with spears. I've got archery training going on. We've selected 2 groups of reenactors to learn our sword techniques, to have 400 people who are supposed to be hardcore warriors not look like hardcore warriors destroys the value of the production.
Hi, Mom. I'm a star.
Company commanders, move them out, reverse order, and let's start over again.
Harry brings a discipline to the set. Harry had these guys marching frontwards, backwards, sideways.
Okay, Alpha Platoon, forward, march!
We had battle cries for all our Saxon invaders, and we found some wonderful things like Slachton Fiand.
Slachton Fiand!
We were actually 7 nights here facing 1,000 extras dressed up like Saxons. Our heart starts beating as the actors. It becomes kind of real when you're standing there.
When you make an epic story like King Arthur, you got to show the epic battles. Antoine figured out how he wanted to shoot it. He based it on one of the great battles in history of the Romans, how they took pig fat, created all this smoke and fire to confuse the enemy so the enemy couldn't see. Slawomir, our cinematographer, is somebody that we used on Black Hawk Down, and he's a proponent of using a lot of cameras, capturing reality.
We got 14 cameras. Sometimes it's very hard to find, the right position for so many cameras.
We had cameras on sticks, cameras in the forest, cameras on horses.
Cameras attached to swords and attached to the belly and the helmet of the combatants. You're actually in the battle.
You never would know how big and overwhelming a film like this can be until you do it. No matter what people say. Till you stand out there and look at 800 to 1,000 people with swords and bow and arrows and horses thundering around and smoke and fire.
Action all around, action!
Every time I said action, I was praying no one got trampled by a horse or one of the guys fell off or anything would happen. And it's one of those scenes where you go, I asked for this.
Visual effects are really used in this film in order to expand the scope of Arthur and his knights. The world that they live in is a very fantastical place, and we really need to bring the epic scale and grandeur, all of that which perhaps doesn't exist in England or in Ireland in real life. As we were filming in Ireland in the middle of August, nothing was frozen, and so really we knew from the beginning that that scene was totally going to be visual effects. Our job is really to go in and completely create the environment from the ice that they're standing on through to the mountains and snow-capped peaks.
There's an entire battle that takes place on this frozen lake. There's going to be almost 300 shots that will require either a matte painting or 3D CG background. This is a wide shot. My job is to replace this with a much more threatening and snow-filled environment. Completely fabricated but believable layout. People would think that this was a real location.
Towards the end of the sequence, the ice starts cracking. They get the Saxons, they trap them. And what we're doing is some shots where it's underwater looking up at the ice that's above. And we'll see the Saxons walking across and see it cracking.
Doing a lot of CG armies so we can have thousands and thousands of CG Saxons.
Because you have so many characters that you have to put into the scene, so many soldiers, we couldn't hand animate each one, so we have software that will come up with that animation for us.
We're just another tool in the director's palette. We can do things in a different way.
I thought it was sort of an interesting idea to tell the King Arthur story minus the myth, as it were. But at the same time, I suddenly realized as soon as you put the music in, it mythologized the characters. It's not rock and roll, but at the same time, one of the things I've been trying to do is make Arthur and his knights more like a sort of a biker gang. They're not quite as squeaky clean as you expect them normally.
Are you from Rome?
From hell. Everything should evolve around Arthur as the apex of the characters, sort of based on a tiny little motif, three-note motif. Everybody gets handed those three notes at one point or the other, in different disguises, as it were. And, of course, we have a love theme, and I got Moya Brennan in from Clannad to come and sing. She's got such a great voice. You just want to enhance the emotion, really. You want to put a framework around the scenes that gives them some sort of a flow and a structure, and hope something informs the characters in some good way.
I hope people leave the cinema with a sense of that they've seen a classic epic film.
It's about a guy traveling on a journey. He becomes a man of his land and a man of his people.
There's a warrior in all of us. There's a king in all of us. You have to choose your destiny, choose your fate.
The scope of it, the size of the battles, the nobility of the characters, and the heart of the characters. It's an epic film.